So it's not that we don't have goals. It's oftentimes we don't take the action, we don't know the action, or we're not interested in doing the thing because the draw, it's not strong enough. The inspiration isn't there. So what we need to do is figure out what's the inspiration, what's the motivation, and if we're really motivated, we'll be willing to do the things that we have to do that are different of how we currently live our life. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Great to have you here today. Excited to go over our Mindset and Motivation Monday topic, which is going all in on your goals. One of the things that I love talking with people about is not only just the motivation to get done what you want in life in order to achieve your true potential, find your passion, live your purpose, all of those things, but it's getting people to understand that you're not that far away from ultimately achieving your hopes and your dreams and your goals. The problem that really comes down to it is a question of motivation. Because here's the thing, I always ask people, and I love using analogies like this. So if I were to ask someone, what are the odds, right? What are the odds that you're going to achieve your goals? They might say, oh, it's 80%, it's 90%. But then you ask them a year later and they're like, well, yeah, I didn't get around to it. It just never happened. Something else came up. And as I give you an example, I think you're going to see that someone who's motivated, that's not going to necessarily be the case, right? So if I ask someone, they typically go to bed at 11 p.m., let's say, right? And I ask them, what are the odds, right, of you going to bed at 9 p.m.? They're going to say, well, probably not that good, right? Because you're not used to going to bed at 9 p.m. It's unlikely you'll go to bed at 9 p.m., especially if maybe even you don't stop your day until 8 p.m., right? And then you ask someone else who goes to bed around 8:30, 9 p.m. every day, what are the odds you go to bed at 9 p.m.? They'll be like, well, pretty close to 100% because that's what I do, right? They may have found a recipe for them to go to bed a little bit earlier. Now, the recipe could be shared with the individual who goes to bed at 11 p.m. Let's say the individual who goes to bed 11 p.m. midnight every night, you told them that, listen, the brain fog that you're suffering from right now, the weight gain issues, the increased blood sugar issues, the low energy, low mood, low libido, did you know that could be fixed by fixing your circadian rhythm, by improving your melatonin production at night and your thyroid and cortisol production naturally in the morning, by changing your sleep and wake cycle? If we could say within 6 weeks to 12 weeks, you'd have more energy, improved mood, more motivation, more desire, more ambition in life, and you went to bed at 9 p.m., what are the odds that you would do that? Well, now they've gone up exponentially. Why? They have the motivation to overcome something. Sometimes it's not always going after something new, it's overcoming something that you already have, right? So, or you want to get back to that thing. So this individual, they didn't really see a reason why they should go to bed at 9 p.m. versus 11. And I'm not saying you have to do this. This is an example. But they want the more energy, the better mood, right? The improved cognitive ability, increased ambition, drive, all of that. They want to feel great in life. So they might say, all right, well, it's worth it then for me to rework my schedule to get to bed later. And I can wake up earlier then, and I can do my morning routine instead of a later night routine. So for that individual, what do? We change their perspective. We gave them renewed motivation. Now they have a reason to take the action in order to achieve the goal. Because again, as I share with you on these Mindset and Motivation Mondays, we all have goals, right? We have goals, we have dreams, we have hopes. Many times that we had them as a child and maybe in our 20s and maybe even early 30s, and then they start to maybe fade away with life. But we shouldn't let that happen. We should go back and rekindle those. So it's not that we don't have goals. It's oftentimes we don't take the action, we don't know the action, or we're not interested in doing the thing because the draw, it's not strong enough. The inspiration isn't there. So what we need to do is figure out what's the inspiration, what's the motivation? And if we're really motivated, we'll be willing to do the things that we have to do that are different of how we currently live our life. Because if you always do what you've always done, you can pretty much assume you're going to always get what you always got. So I think most people intuitively understand this, that, all right, if I keep doing what I'm doing right now, I'm going to get more of the same. Not everybody, right? A lot of people just say, well, I just need to do it a little bit longer. But if you've been doing it for 3 to 6 months, especially with health, body transformation, you should see a little ray of hope. It sometimes takes longer, there's no doubt about it, but you should see some hope, right? That things are moving in the right direction. So that is time. Those are the times when people become demotivated, that they lose hope that they're actually going to achieve it. But the problem is that it's not that their goal was too big, or that it's not a great goal, or that they couldn't even achieve it. Is that they just didn't have the right action plan. So it wasn't necessarily the goal. The goal is always fine. You can set any goal you want for yourself. Just understand, big goals might take a little bit longer, but they also take an orchestrated action plan in order to make it happen. So for example, when I was 24 years old, I was super stubborn, but I was committed. And if you ask me like, hey, are you ever going to get well? I would say, I'm going to get well. Like, I'm going to get well against all odds, against what all medical doctors say. I'm going to be able to overcome all these issues. I'm going to make it happen. I didn't know how. Now, I continue to see natural health practitioners. I saw conventional medicine doctors. I saw anybody that I believed could help. And I learned a lot along the way. I didn't have the exact action plan that I needed, but I learned a lot. And I took action and I continued to move forward. And yes, I relapsed and I got worse, and then I would get better again, and then I would get worse. And I would try to understand, why is all of this happening? And it took 3 more full years. But then ultimately, I met my mentor. I understood then, this is how the human body works. This is how inputs and outputs work. I can measure my results. All of this now makes sense. And also, I understand that it's any plan that I get, no matter how amazing it is, that it needs to be tweaked along the way. It needs to be recalibrated, because I'm not a static being, and neither are you. And that was one of the biggest takeaways that I had as well. Some things work, some don't. Almost, every action you take, if it's based on a book, a course, it's worked for some people. It may or may not work for you, but some of it is going to work. Right? So there's just an adjustment period of using what works and then adding on whatever you need, or making small, minor adjustments. Literally, we'll do gut-based protocols that we know work. We've used them with more wellness clients and patients and practitioners all over the world than really any other protocol. We know it works, but someone will be on it. They're like, I started getting bloating around month 5 again. Why is that when I just eliminated it a few weeks back? Okay, let's look. What foods were reintroduced? What new supplement was being used? Is there any other change? And we'll find it just by asking those qualifying questions. And you can do exactly the same. That is how you're going to get the best results. But the thing is, just like me at 24, I was motivated. I didn't want to die at a young age, right? Like, that was a big thing. When you have Addisons disease and you've got autoimmune issues, and as a teenager, that's a problem. Like, it's a real problem. And so what I looked at was saying, I'm committed to my life. I'm committed to getting healthy, not for the sake of getting healthy, for the sake of then being able to hopefully one day pursue other goals beyond just my own health, right? Beyond me just getting well. So it was a big motivator. I had other goals in life, and I'm sure you have those goals too, but there are most likely stepping stones in order to achieve them. So I say to you, if not, if you're going to bed at 11 p.m., why would you ever go to bed at 9? You need to find your 9 p.m. at night, right? You need to find your reason for doing that, because going to bed at 9 doesn't sound that interesting. Changing your diet doesn't sound that interesting. Changing or adding supplements or meditation or any of these things, they don't sound that interesting. Right? And you don't have to do them, to be honest with you. Nobody has to do the same exact protocol necessarily to get well, but you do need to take a foundational approach that in order to be able to get well or achieve insert whatever your favorite goal is or whatever your specific goal is, like improving relationships, spirituality, finances, career, passions, body transformation, health. It's just my realm is more health and body transformation. So what I say to you is, whatever your goal is, substitute, put that goal in, and then ask yourself, what do most people do in my position have to do in order to get that result? And if you don't know, that's okay. You'll read the books or take the courses, listen to the podcast, hire a coach, hire a mentor, or doctor, whatever it might be. And then you'll say, okay, this is what the majority of people do. There must be something to this, right? There has to be something to it. It may work for me, it may not, but a lot of people do this, which means it's at least worth exploring. So you'll begin to explore it. Now, what I would say is this: use that motivation. It's your why. Your why is why you do something, right? It gives you meaning, because because you're going to have to change your life in a way that you might not be excited about. Again, the person stayed up till 11, they probably like to stay up till 11. They probably aren't going to like going to bed at 9. But you know what? Once they start getting the results they want, they're going to start to change their attitude about 9 p.m. at night. And they really will. Like, I don't want to go to bed. My bedtime is probably somewhere around 10 p.m., 9:30, 10. I try to get to bed between those hours. I would much rather stay up later. At minimum 10:30. I would like to stay probably 10:30, 11 now that I'm a little bit older. Previous to that, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, I would certainly, that was my preferred bedtime. But I realized that was not serving me. So in order for me to back my bedtime up, it had to be a really good reason why. And I had one. So for you, it's not always going to be going to bed earlier, but it's going to be doing some things that you don't necessarily want to do. But what you do want is on the other side of that work, on the other side of the obstacle, the challenge that maybe been holding you back. So first, identify what your goal is. Make sure that there's a strong enough motivator or why behind it to then, when you do figure out what the obstacle is or the work that you need to do, you'll use that goal, which gives you your why, your motivation, to be able to push through the struggle, the work, the obstacle that's inevitably there, that is somewhat of a test to see if you are then worthy of being the person that is then able to achieve the goal. Because remember, it's not just about achieving the goal, it's holding on to it. And only the person that is worthy of it, that has put in the work, that has actually now become that person and becomes the person, actually then gets to enjoy the goal. And it is now not just something that's fleeting, oh, they may lose it any time. No, it's a part of them. They are someone that has the great relationship, improves their body, improves their health, increases their spirituality, or improves their overall finances, their relationships. Again, whatever it is your goal is. Once you become that thing, once you become worthy of having that thing, you'll never lose it because it's now a part of you. Hopefully today's Mindset and Motivation Monday was helpful. If it was, do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody. Have an amazing start to your week. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.